And you're in my headphones, so it's not my fault, I don't think.
Okay. I have two things that's on Twitch seem to be going with audio whenever I speak. Is this? Can you still hear
Ah,
me, Chris and Sarah? Is this better?
I can still hear you fine. And Sarah,
Well,
does
Chris
Josh
is
sound better?
perfect.
Oh, better.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Nice
Nice.
work.
Hello,
Yeah.
hello. Hi to you.
Oh, Haidu. Haidu is a core contributor to Astro and Starlight as well. So we got
Ooh,
the whole
awesome.
gang together.
Oh, wow. No pressure, but I one of my favorite stream formats is get a bunch of people who worked on a thing or a product or some such, and then get a person who has never used it before to try it out for the first time. I think it's always informative and entertaining. So I'm really excited about this.
Oh, we've got the code cracked here. It's just Sarah again in numbers. Although I don't understand
Wait,
the code. I guess that's for chat to try and decipher. I'm not good at deciphering stuff like that.
I'm confused. Well, how is S1 and A1?
That must be like a looping thing or something, right? Oh,
Numerology. Okay.
numerology. All right, Sarah.
All
um,
I was thinking of was, the old T9 phones with the three
mm,
by three on your keyboard.
yeah,
Those were good times.
they were. Yeah, and they were pretty fast. Like right now, I don't you have all the swipey things and stuff. I don't know if that's actually faster than the T9s. Like once you, I don't know, as a teenager, once you had like had that in your thumb, just like
Yeah.
like that was pretty speedy.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I
I
remember
don't know,
my
probably wasn't
first
healthy, but
smartphone. No, yeah, no, that was definitely early onset carpal tunnel for a lot of us
yeah,
programmers.
yeah.
I remember my first phone was a Motorola Razr, and that
Oh,
thing's keyboard, I think, was optimized for T9 because it was weirdly satisfying, but just such little space needed to actually
hmm
press the
hmm
keys. And I remember I would stay up late on my limited minutes plan at the end of the month when I had a lot of minutes left and just like this in bed, not even looking at it. It was very satisfying.
Oh wow.
Learner.
Hey, everyone.
But Chris, you were telling me you and a
Oh yeah,
bunch of Astro folks were in Montreal recently for an offsite. Is that right?
yeah. We were just in Montreal last week. We all met up together for the week and worked together, which is something we don't get to do very often because we're scattered, like a lot of tech teams. We're all over the place. I think like the biggest time difference is from San Francisco to Malaysia, which is it's too big. There's like no way to make that work really well, but but it's cool that we're able to have all those international people. Um, I live in Europe, so like I'm kind of halfway between the two of them. Yeah, we all met up together in Montreal. It was super cool. Uh, Maybe the coolest thing is we had a like public event, like a meetup kind of thing, which we called Astro Together, which was the first time we've really done that, like self-organized. We had a meetup last year in Copenhagen. We were kind of invited by Lego, which was very cool to do
Ooh,
like a Ben from the Astro team gave a talk at like a Lego weekly, monthly. I don't know. They have like tech meetups at the Lego offices in Copenhagen where they do like game design and stuff. So Ben gave a talk there, and that was really cool to meet people. But this was the first time it was like, no, we're gonna have like an Astro event that we organize, and we had like swag and all kinds of fun stuff and did some talks. So yeah, really cool to be able to meet local dev community people. People drove like someone drove up from Boston. People drove from other places in Canada to come see us. Really,
wow.
really cool that people were excited enough to do that, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. And we're currently sharing the videos, so if people
Ooh.
haven't seen those, go check them out. Like on the Astro YouTube channel, we've been slowly, I think, started 2 days ago. We released the first one by Sarah, who's in the chat. We launched our latest release yesterday, so we did like a talk about that, and that went live yesterday on YouTube. More to come today and next week. So yeah, been really fun to like get to do that, like share stuff and like meet up and have open source maintainers come and hang out and yeah, put faces to like the random cat avatars that people might have or whatever online. Like you don't get to do that so often.
I love that. I just posted a link in the chat. 1 year Starlight Astros community built documentation
Nice.
theme.
Yes, that's
Hell yeah.
Sarah's talk, and yeah, as well, I guess we haven't really got to what we're going to do now on the stream, but we'll get to talk about Starlight and the fact that it's a year old.
Yeah, that's actually a great segue. And I see we mostly stabilize in the chat. So let's start talking about things. Chris, you have been working on Starlight. I think you said for it's been in existence for at least a year. Is that right?
Correct. So on Wednesday, we celebrated our like first birthday of Starlight. For people who don't know, Starlight is a like docs framework or docs tool. It's built on Astro. So Astro is a site builder, like a compare it to a Next or I guess in the past like a Gatsby or like that. Throw content in it from wherever you have content. Generate site, generate a static site, generate a dynamic site if you have like a headless CMS or something for larger sites. And kind of some of Astro's superpowers are things like it's really optimized for shipping minimal JavaScript, so kind of performance oriented. Like you can really get lightweight pages out of it. And the other kind of cool thing about Astro, I think, is that it supports any UI framework. So like most of these things are tied to like, okay, I'm using Next, it's a React app. I'm using SvelteKit, it's a Svelte app, that kind of thing. I was using Gatsby, that's React. Like you don't, there's no choice, that just comes with it. Astro's kind of powerful in that it just lets you choose that separately. So you get the whole framework with routing and all that thing. And then if you're a Vue developer, you use Vue. If you're a Svelte developer, you can use Svelte. If you just like writing HTML, you just write HTML. You don't have to use any framework if you don't want to. So that's Astro. Starlight is built on top of it for doc site specifically. Comes with lots of stuff out of the box. And yeah, we released version 0.1 a year ago, Wednesday, and celebrated our first birthday and all the stuff we've managed to do in a year on a stream on Wednesday. So yeah, happy to be here and share that with you too.
Very exciting. I must
Builder, you know, you would build your site, get a bunch of HTML in it. Astro's general way of thinking about things is like start with a simple thing first. Then when Chris is gone.
Sorry. I was playing with OBS, doing an excellent explanation. I've reverted all the changes in OBS. It irritates me that our cameras are such a big percentage of the screen. Chris, you're back. I'm so sorry. Please continue.
Okay, cool. I have no idea what people heard and didn't, but it doesn't matter. So yeah, so what I was gonna say is like Astro, I think you can think of as having like a simple first, complex as you need it philosophy, like add complexity as you need it. So what is the simplest kind of website? It's a static one. It's like I made an HTML file, I put it on a folder, someone watched like serves that. Like that's it. It's so simple. You're not even thinking about servers. You're using like a really easy CDN host, whether it's Netlify, Vercel, Cloudflare, one of these places you just do. And so we think that should be the default because that's like the easy first step. You want a website on the internet, HTML. And then the dynamic part should still be easy though. Like you should still be like when you hit that point where it's like actually my little blog, it became I don't know like a multi-million-dollar news business or something, and now I have like a bazillion articles. I don't want to like statically render those each time I deploy. I'm
Yeah.
switched to a headless CMS. I'm doing dynamic routing. Like that's all still possible. You just opt into it kind of progressively as you need it. Same with the front end. Like start with very simple kind of standards-based HTML templating, enhance that with React or Vue or Svelte or whatever your preferred framework is as you need it. So that's the kind of general philosophy, and we try to apply that more broadly. So yeah, started as a static site, but it's been a dynamic backend framework since yeah day zero or like at least V1. And in fact, yeah, there'll be a talk coming out today from Ben
Ooh,
Holmes about one of our latest features that really drives that home. So yeah, stay tuned for that later today.
that's very exciting. I'm actually gonna retry the OBS things. Chris, I should have done this before the stream, and I'm sorry. Give me one moment
That's
here.
fine. We got confident. We knew we were overconfident.
All right, man. It's the most annoying thing trying to do OBS live. It uh, really is just the worst. All right. Well,
Well,
what the
what the
hell
hell
happened?
happened?
All right.
All right.
Okay. I
I
swear to
swear to
God.
God.
Most
Most
annoying
annoying
thing.
thing. I might be the only person who having a good experience. I've always been able to hear everything. It sounds great. I can see all the screens. Looks good. Um,
I love it. Okay, the echo was back. Now it's gone. Or at least it should be gone. But okay, yeah. Fun fact, actually, Chris. I build my own personal website in Astro. It's
nice.
almost not dynamic, but I do have a little theme switcher here. Do you have any other examples of websites that are built with Astro or even with Starlight you want to show off?
Oh, I mean, yeah. There's so many if like big names like the Netlify homepage is built with Astro. Um,
Oh, snap!
this, this is Astro, and I think they have like a developers page, like developers.netlify.com or something like that. Um, That's also built with Astro. Like Google uses it. I don't know if you've heard of Google's IDX project, which is kind of like a web editor. Um, oh, this looks like docs about it. Yeah, but they're like homepage for that project is built with Astro, and they also have like Astro support in their editor, I think. Yeah, this one. We've had websites at the United Nations built with Astro. Uh,
Wow.
at least in multiple countries, the main website of Porsche, like the car manufacturer, is built with Astro, which I don't know. I'm not really into cars, but I don't even know how to drive. Uh, but there you go.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Astro 492, so they're almost completely up to date as well. So that's good. Glad that team
Wait,
is
what did you
on it.
see the? How did you know that they're on?
4.9.2. If you look at the generator
Ah,
tag, it tells you the version of Astro used. There you
there we go. Very
go.
nice.
So, yeah, I mean, given it's a fast car, I guess, and we're a fast framework, I guess that I guess a good match.
Yeah.
So yeah, so many sites, but with Astro, I think maybe the best like known project that's using Astro for which is using Starlight, so like the Docs framework that I work on, is probably Font Awesome, uh, which I feel like is a pretty well known project in their not their main site. I think although I don't know what that's built with, but if you click on docs, yeah, this part of the site, which is like their documentation for the Font Awesome product, is an Astro site. That is still being yeah. They launched that pretty recently,
Very
and there
nice.
you go, 487.
And I'm curious, can we figure out that they're on Starlight through
Yeah.
there it is. Oh, this is cool. You can have multiple generators.
Yes. Yeah, community member helped us with that early on. Like I think we just launched Starlight, and Rick Viscomi, who's on the Chrome like performance team, kind of works on like the Chrome user experience report and stuff. Helped us like set that up because he was like, this is useful for us also like to measure the performance of different frameworks. So that's how they do it. Um,
That's awesome. Really cool. Yeah, well, congrats. That sounds like it's been a successful project so far.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, it's kind of wild when you release, right? I mean, I know you know this from open source, but like you release a open source project and you don't know what's gonna happen. Might get like your 3 stars and that's it. Uh,
Yeah.
um, but yeah, it's done really well. I think we've seen so many people adopt it on like even just the open source sites on GitHub. There's like almost 3,000 repos, people building stuff with this, and obviously there's a bunch more of people, people with closed source stuff. So um, yeah, really cool to see people contributing, and we're heading slowly towards 200 contributors over the last 12 months, which has been a big part of the success. I think, like you can't build everything yourself, and I was the person who just like sat down and did the initial work building it. Ooh, what is this? I've never seen this.
Oh, I'm just searching in SourceGraph to see all results of Astro files that reference Starlight. You have 1,300
Oh,
results in public repos.
nice. I did not know that one.
Cool.
Interesting.
But yeah, I feel like you've been modest in this stream so far. You keep referring to it being a team effort, which is true. You know, you have a great team
Yeah.
and a great community around Astro. But if I remember right, at least two or three people have used phrasing like "Chris made Starlight" with me. How accurate is that phrasing?
I mean, I feel like it gets less accurate every day, right? And that's the goal. Um, yeah, I was the person. So my story is kind of that I joined the Astro team. I think like 2 years ago, probably like next week or something. I don't remember exactly the date, but it was. I think it was June 2 years ago. Um, Primarily to like support the documentation website for Astro. So like we have a big doc site. I'd already done some work as an open source contributor to help with the internationalization of it, and I was just basically maintaining that as a website. Um, Standard website built with Astro. Everything's in the repo. Um, but we also had this like really old docs starter template that someone had built before I joined Astro. Um, that our docs was initially based on. Like we built like this template and then like made our docs from it. And then of course what happened was like no one ever touched the template again. Like it just kind of stayed there, like in its original state. Occasionally, some person would send a random PR, but it was just like kind of there. And our doc site like diverged as we added features, as we like made it more powerful. Improved the user experience and things. And so we were planning a redesign, and I was like, well, how do we solve this problem? Like, how do we solve the fact that we kind of have these two code bases that we pretend to maintain, but in reality, like you end up maintaining your doc site because that's the one that you really need to function every day. And so, like all good developers, was like, oh, let's just make a framework.
Yeah.
That'll be easy. Um, and in a way, it has a huge advantage because like um, we merge those two code bases. Basically, like the Astro Docs is built with Starlight, has some customizations, for the look and feel, but basically, like a lot of the code that used to be in that repo just moved, or I mean, was rewritten, honestly. But like we could just delete it because it was being powered by Starlight. Um, but you get the benefit of it's like Starlight's now helping other people, so they come and help us build that framework, but make that better, add features that maybe we wouldn't have had time to build if we were just doing it for our docs. So yeah, we get the benefit from that too as well. So on the
Love it.
whole, that's the story. Is like I started out building a website and ended up building a website builder. Um, but
Yes.
yeah, so that's how it goes.
That's how a lot of frameworks these days in your area, this area, get started. And I think it's lovely. You figure out the problems that you need to solve, especially through what we call dog fooding,
Yeah.
consuming your own product. And then you templatize, you frameworkize it. And now you have
Hmm.
this great Astro thing that everyone's using.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And I mean, the aim is basically like you just run like a command in your terminal and you get a fully scaffolded project, fully scaffolded site, and and you go from there. And we try to make it as kind of, again, coming back to that Astro philosophy of like add complexity as you need it. So try to make things as simple as possible to start with. You just got a project with a config file and some markdown or MDX files. That's it. And then like make it as easy as possible to gradually customize on top of that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Let's do that because we came
Hmm.
into the stream with a purpose. In addition to wanting to show off how cool you and Astro Starlight are, I have this ridiculous old library called emoji-blast, formerly referred to or called emoji explosion. I renamed it because no one could ever remember emoji explosion, how to spell it. It's a quick library that lets you set up little explosions of emojis. It's super configurable. I didn't make this emoji blast website. For the most part, it was where's the footer. It was made by a friend of a friend named Carly, who did a wonderful job with the design. And Carly made this ridiculous set of demos with the library. So I want to shout out Carly and also link in the chat emojiblast.dev/demo. The problem with this is I've since created a mono repo and migrated Emoji Explosion, now Emoji Blast, into this mono repo. And there are a bunch of integrations with it that I want to like have good docs for. The main
Hmm.
one is Konami Emoji Blast, which is a thing where I'm going to type on my keyboard what's called the Konami code: up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, and it toggles whether Emoji Blast is firing on your website. So previously, Emoji Blast was made with Next.js because we just wanted to document the one library. But now I'd like to get a full Starlight repo or a full Starlight style monorepo docs
Hmm.
situation going.
Nice.
Um, so just quickly sharing screen in my repos, I have the emoji blast uh, repo open on the latest main, git pull, pnpmi. The way it's set up is a pretty typical pnpm mono repo. I've got a packages folder with emoji blast. Emoji blast site is the old Next.js one, and then Konami emoji, and then there's a basic integration for Astro, a React, a TypeDoc one.
Cool.
So, let's say I wanted to do the thing I just said I wanted to do. Chris, how would you recommend I get started on this?
Cool. I think the first question will just be where you want to put it in your monorepo. Um, yeah. Do you have an idea of like a folder? Like where would the folder go?
I'm not super picky. I'm just by convention. I think it'd be easiest to put it in packages. So I could.
Cool.
What we could do is I don't know, like rename this to old and then make a new folder for it.
Sure. I mean, it doesn't really matter from my perspective, but that was going to be my first question to basically ask where to run the command. But
Sure,
yeah,
let's do that. We're gonna
let's
have
do
a
that.
packages slash emoji blast site folder. It has been
Okay.
decided.
Perfect.
What do I do now?
Um, all right. So you're in the packages directory. Great. Um, you can run. Shall I tell you, or do you want to copy paste it so that I don't get it wrong? If you
I
go to
should read from the
Starlight,
docs. Yes.
yeah, go to the Starlight docs, um, and hit get
Yes.
started. There you go, PMPM, and then just copy paste that. Which yeah, I think I
By the
remembered it
way,
correctly, but then there's less scope for me misremembering or
yeah.
typos, etc.
Yes. I do want to shout out, by the way, I love this. A lot of sites will put on tabs for the different package managers, which is good. I like that you do that. And they'll put the package manager in order of when they learned about it. So it'll be NPM, PNPM, yarn. But that's always irritated me because that's not an alphabetical order. So I really expect and appreciate that you did LMNOP, that order.
So where should we create your project? You probably want to add that folder name. What was it? Emoji Blast site, I think.
Hmm. I do plan on writing
Yeah, I'm
TypeScript,
guessing you want TypeScript.
the strictest possible.
Yes. Yeah, you probably don't need that. I guess you have a Git repository set up. And
Yeah.
then, yeah,
Oh,
this
I love
just will
this.
scaffold it out. You got the gorgeous little progress bar built by Nate.
Oh,
Um, and we'll install some dependencies. Hey, Kevin's here. Hi, Kevin.
cool. Also, just confirming from the chat, thanks for shouting out or for asking. Learner definitely can zoom in. This is about as zoomed in as I can get, I think, but I can futz around with things if needed. Hi, Kevin. Great. Wow, that was fast. I'm not used to things finishing, creators within 30 seconds.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I was thinking, oh, no, this is kind of slow. But,
Oh, great.
perspective. um, okay, yeah, so you
All
run
right.
dev, you've got a local host server set up, and you have a doc site.
Oh, wow.
Uh,
Look at that. Nice. So if I, oh, shoot. 3 years of this and I'm still not used to Mac shortcuts. All right, CD packages, emoji blast site, pnpm devs.
nice. Yeah.
All right, so if I do welcome to Starlight and search it, welcome to emoji blast. So what I'm seeing already is pretty standard Astro shenanigans. We've got the front matter, which is set up similar to my personal site does things. We've got MDX, so the variant of Markdown that lets you embed JSX, or in this case TSX. I've seen that you have a lot of components that are given to me by default, such as a
Hmm.
card grid, which I love.
Yep.
And let's see, that's okay. So we have a guides page. Okay, cool. Oh, and I have like a menu. So you're
Yep.
setting up quite a lot of stuff for me by default.
Yeah, although this is pretty lightweight config still. So as you've seen, there's like three pages in the template. So you have like an index page, which is like the home page with the little guy with the construction hat there on the front. And then you have that example guide and reference markdown files. And so those are the pages we've added for you by default. And then the config kind of for the whole site is in that astro.config file. As you can see, it's not a huge amount in there yet. Oh gosh, what's all the squigglies for?
This is my
Um,
separate
okay,
lint setup.
not my
That's
fault.
not a you fault. Don't worry.
Good. Well, you never know. Always worried. Um, yeah. So, in theory, like the most minimal config you could have here is like to delete everything inside the Starlight function there, except for the title. The title is required. We need like a site title, but like that is all. The rest is all optional. But what it's doing is basically setting up some items in your sidebar, um, which yeah, uh, you could leave that uncommented. Like we do try to generate things for you by default. So like if you don't have any sidebar config, we'll just look at the pages you have and be like, all right, we'll just like make a kind of structured tree from your file structure and hope that looks okay. It's a little limited though. So in general, you probably will want to end up customizing the items in the sidebar. You have more control over like the order and labeling and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Um, and yeah, and then the
makes
social
sense.
object option there is just like set up to link to socials. So GitHub, your Twitter, whatever it is that, maybe you have like a support forum somewhere, you can, we have support for like quite a lot of different platforms. So
Great.
these are kind of like the global configuration options that you'd apply to your whole Starlight powered site. We also, oh yes, this is the types. Yeah, so if you the I guess that label object that was down there kind of gave you the full. Or if you hover, I think it should tell you. Does it not tell you the options when you hover
Let's find
on
out.
social?
GitHub is string
Oh yeah, there you go. So it has an
code
example there, but yeah, I mean, you learn so much about all of the optional um, like, there's so many different code hosting platforms, support forum site, there's so many of these and, kind of a sign of how many people are using Starlight by, like, the number of people who come and be like, "Hey, can I add my icon for this product that you've never heard of?" I'm like, "Sure, yeah, of course." Um,
Great. And I'm noticing that this is not target equals blank. Can I make this open in a new tab, this link?
uh-huh. Let me remember. So we don't by default because in general, it's considered a bad practice. Um, yeah,
Wait, what?
yeah, yes. I think that it's quite common to do so. I totally understand that. I'm trying to remember how we recommend people doing it if they do want to do that. Um, I have to think about it and get back to you. Yeah, the general user research, like user UX research, is that opening in a new tab is something you should leave to the discretion of users. So, you can always
Ah,
like command click or right click and choose open a new tab. Um, and the only exceptions to that are usually saying like, okay, so the user is in the middle of some like really important task, and if you navigate, you'll interrupt that task, and maybe they'll lose state or something like that. And so in that case, it makes sense. Like I don't know, you're applying for a bank account, and you go like halfway through the form, and there's a link to some more information about something. It would be kind of annoying if you like click that link, loads, and then you go back and the form's empty or something.
yeah,
So in those contexts, definitely opening a new tab is recommended. But on the whole, avoiding that wherever possible is kind of the recommended best practice for user experience reasons, because people can always opt into it. But once you say like, "Hey, this opens a new tab," then I click on that, opens a new tab, and I'm like, "Hey, I want to open the same tab, but I can't. Like, there's no way to make it."
makes sense.
So yeah, we kind of
Okay,
don't support it out of the box. Um, if it's really important to you, we can still do it. It is possible, but just yeah, it's not like easy if that makes sense.
sure. There's actually I'm sorry for derailing in this, but I find it fascinating.
No.
Thank you for the explanation. I can see why that would be the case. There's an underlying accessibility rule. I forget which section of which thing, that you can't have destructive actions taken without a confirmation. Like you can't
Hmm.
submit a form and then not give the user, or like have a form that can be submitted and then not give the user a way to undo the submission of that immediately after in case they
Yes,
like
that's
accidentally did
ideal.
it.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm now internalizing this in the same vein of, if I have state on my page, I would need it to be, give me a confirmation or just don't destroy it by default. But there's
Right.
no state on this docs homepage that I would be losing.
No, and like for example, I mean, I think there's lots of examples. I think for those of us who are really familiar with computers, it's less of an issue. We're like, oh, it opened a new tab. We know what a new tab is. We'll close the tab and we'll go, back to that other tab. But for
Yeah.
people who are less familiar, which admittedly maybe is not their direct audience of like a technical doc site, but documentation doesn't have to be technical, right? Like it could be
Yeah.
built for some product that's used by a general audience. You open a new tab and then you like press the back button. Back button doesn't do anything because it's a new tab. Like there's no history there. So it's like, oh, wait, how do I go back? Maybe you're on your phone. You don't even see the other tab. Like
Mm,
maybe it depends on the phone UI how clear it is that like a new tab opened. So yeah, there's lots of reasons for from accessibility to kind of just general user experience. Um, And that's kind of one of the promises we have at Starlight. It's like we've kind of done some thinking about this, and so we we try to make it easy to customize and work for your use cases. But for something like that, we did have I think even a PR for someone who was like, "Hey, can I make it really easy to just like toggle a switch and open these in a new tab?" And I was like, "Nope, that's yeah, it's a bad practice.
Mm,
Like it's
yeah.
possible. We have a feature called component overrides, which basically allows you to swap out a component for like any parts of the page. So you could just be like, hey, I have my own social links component. It uses target blank. Uh, Please use that instead of the default. Um, you can still do it that way, but it's a little more work, and that's sort of intentional to sort of guide you to hopefully choose the easy and also correct behavior.
Make the correct things easy and the easy things correct. Yeah.
Yes.
Great. All right. So the first thing I want to do here, thank you again, by the way, excellent explanations. The first thing I want to do is add Konami emoji blast to this site. I want to be that when I type up, down, down, left, right, be A on my keyboard, which I just did,
Mhm.
instead of nothing happening, which is what actually happened, I want it to launch emoji explosion. So
Ooh,
I
okay.
have
On every page?
on every page. And I actually have an Astro integration right now that should work.
Mhm.
Konami Emoji Blast slash Astro. Ugh, I hate how the npm website, the mobile view is like
Yeah.
very aggressive. Yeah. Okay, so in theory, I should be able to add an integration. Konami Emoji
Do you wanna do
Blast.
this the fun way? You can run the terminal command. Oh, I guess you already have it installed. I was gonna say you can run the, astro add, uh, command, but I don't know, because you're in the mono repo, I guess you wanna import from the local package maybe?
No,
Maybe it
let's
should
do
still
it.
work.
I'm just curious what'll happen. I've never
Yeah.
used
Oh,
Astro Add on my own things.
oh, really? Uh,
Oh yeah, how do I do
okay.
this?
Yeah, alright. So I think you need to have it's been a while since I did. Okay, fine. We won't do it this way. Basically, I think we check for a keyword in the npm package.
Okay.
Totally normal first doc side customization. Yes, every doc
I
side
put
needs this.
artist.
We'll add it as a core Starlight feature. Don't worry. Um, yeah, I think you need to have like Astro component or Astro or with Astro. There's a couple of keywords we use to basically detect Astro integrations and add them to that library you were just looking at. Um, there you go.
Okay.
Yeah, Astro component or with Astro keyword. So your integration should have that keyword, and then if it has it, then um, we'd allow you to use
Cool.
that Astro add CLI. All it does is install the package for you, update your Astro config with it in place.
All
So
right.
yeah, I mean, but it's not a lot of work normally. It's just for some stuff it can be really nice. We have a Astro add TypeScript and just not add TypeScript. Astro add Tailwind and like just add Tailwind. You don't have to go and like run a
Yeah,
pm install and then like add an import and then like figure out where to add the import and maybe you want a config file. Like we can just scaffold that for you. So
that makes a lot of sense. I'm gonna register. I'm gonna file an issue to register the Astro integration as
nice.
or Astro uh, Konami emoji blast as in Astro integration. Ugh, naming is hard on issues. Boop, boop, boo. Uh,
Um,
I've been
Nice.
doing co-authored by Chris. What is your GitHub? I
Uh,
never remember.
DEL.
There
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Total aside, I have a bot that auto fills in the all contributors for a repo, and soon I will add in co-authored by on issues as a thing it registers as a
Wow, that's
contribution.
cool. Are you
Thanks.
familiar with the co-authored bot that Kevin built, who's in the stream in the chat?
It yes, it gets brought up once in a while. I forget. I have an issue somewhere to look in, like to try to integrate it more formally. Um,
Yeah, so there's a bot and there's also like a website. So this is the website I put in chat. But so the website is very
yes,
simple. You like paste a PR and it just like
that's
gives
right.
you a co-authored by message for everyone who's been involved in the PR. Because sometimes people just review, leave comments, blah blah blah, and you want to include them.
Hmm.
But so we use it a lot for docs because docs is a classic case where people will be involved discussing some wording, but maybe they don't end up being like correctly co-authored or whatever. So
Yeah, that's cool.
and he also has a GitHub like action which gives you like a command you can run in PRs, and it just spits it out directly in the PR rather than having to go to the website.
I love it. I love it. Yeah. Cool. Yeah, so Carl, coming out of a stream with did I already? There it is. Um, right now you can't run Astro ad. Blast Astro. Let's get that. I don't want to take too long. Raw notes. Accepting PRs. Okay,
Nice. Yeah, that was
cool.
great work.
This is already useful for me as a stream. It's been useful the whole time, but now there's actually something on GitHub that's come out of it.
Sweet.
Uh, Great. So instead of that command, because it doesn't yet work, I will integrations, Konami, emoji, blast. Interesting question from chat. Hello, Atharva T. What's the document? Are you the rock of the Astro community, Chris?
What's the documentation cooking today? Um, we're cooking up a new doc site with Starlight for Josh.
Yes. So Emoji Blast is a package that I have an existing NPM, for Next.js website for, and I think Starlight would be an excellent candidate for making it a full monorepo style docs page with docs for every of one of the packages in the monorepo. So I'm going to give a dependency to Konami Emoji Blast. I always forget. Is it workspace colon asterisk for the?
Yeah. Does it need to be slash Astro on the package name there?
Look at this. Yes, nice find.
Nice.
Okay, work no asterisk. All right.
Oh, really? Huh.
API
I think I've always put an asterisk, but maybe it doesn't really matter. Looks like it
PPM
worked.
dev. Let's see if it works. Don't jinx me.
Oh yeah. I mean,
Oh no. I
uh,
might need to
did
build.
you? Yeah, you ran install.
I love this. Hmm. Well,
Failed to
this
resolve
might be a
import
bug on my
from
end and not an
Astro.
Astro thing.
You never know. I don't know. Don't quite know how to categorize it, but um, yeah, I can look into it as well after the stream. I don't know if I'm guessing you're using inject script. I guess maybe there's a bug with inject script somehow. I feel like I've used it with Starlight before, but I'll have to check.
Okay. Yeah, the file does. Oh yeah. By the way, this is how I'm doing it. I don't know if this is gonna horrify you, but
No, no.
this is the inject script. I just import. Oh, that's right. It needs to be a pure dependency of the package.
Oh, okay. So yes,
Or in some way a dependency. I forget. It's in a get
right,
start
because we're
file
using
somewhere.
PMPM. Yeah, that's a we have that issue occasionally with Astro stuff. Like if you're using PMPM, that import you've injected is importing as if it was from the users. Like that's not library code. That's like being run in the user context, and so
Hmm.
they need that dependency directly. If you were running npm, wouldn't be a problem. But like yeah, with PMPM, it needs to be a direct dependency.
Yeah,
Yay, it's working! Look at
love the
those
symbol.
emojis.
Awesome. I'm actually
Works.
gonna. I should have done this before I started these shenanigans, but I'm gonna make a PR just to get this stuff on GitHub.
Hmm. Yeah.
So, B Astro Starlight docs. Git docs. Set up Astro Starlight docs sites. By the way, if you know how to get a PGP key to stop asking me for my. Oh, there we go. Never mind. We're good. Wrong link.
I as a real dev, I just do everything through GitHub Desktop and a graphical UI, and don't worry about it.
There we go. All right. Problem with zooming in is that when it fails, there it is. Yeah, on my laptop it's permanent. On my desktop it asks repeatedly, and one would want the other way around.
Yeah, it might have a
I
fun
used
thing
to
where
use
like
GitHub.
when I
Oh, go.
restart my computer, it always forces me to ask it, but it only asks it once per like restart. So it's better than that.
Ah, I really like that. Yeah, once per thing. Ooh, Chris, while I'm typing on GitHub, you want to take this? What's a monorepo? Great question.
What's a monorepo? Uh oh god. I mean, basically, it's just a repository which has like multiple things in it, right? Of some description. Um, I'm not familiar enough with like wider software development to know if this exists outside of the like JavaScript TypeScript ecosystem. But yeah, in JavaScript, it's usually like I have a node style package which has package.json, and I have multiple of those in one repo. And I feel like it's come a long way. Like the first time I ever tried to do this, it was absolutely a pain, and now I find like PMPM workspaces, which is what I always also use, and I think that's what you're using, right, Josh?
Yeah.
Um, Makes it pretty simple. Yeah, so you can like have multiple packages that are related. Astro is developed the same way. We have like the main Astro package, but then all of these other integrations, they just all live in the same repository. If you need to make changes to multiple of them together, you're not like jumping between repos, which is can be really painful, especially for like larger projects. So
Yeah.
yeah, just a way to organize stuff in one big thing. I definitely some orgs definitely have like huge monorepos with like hundreds of projects. Just
Yeah.
they're all in the same thing. That scares me a little bit. But yeah, for code that's gonna a lot of the time kind of relate to each other, be released together, that kind of thing, makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. I agree. That's a great explanation. And very well timed as I'm just there's already a build failure. This is great.
Oh, good.
For cell deployment failed because I'm completely changing how the doc site works. Great. This is fine. Oh yeah, hi to you. I've been meaning to look into switching SSH one of these days. Yeah, so that's the draft PR. So we'll continue to push to this over the next whatever number of minutes in the stream. But this is great. I'm really pleased. This was stunningly easy. Oop, I stopped debbing. CD packages, emoji
Oh,
blast
I was gonna
site.
look at your Vercel logs, but I don't get to see those because I'm don't have the permission.
Oh, sorry. It's
No,
it's
it's fine.
failing
No.
because it's on the Next.js preset. I haven't looked at it, but I'm
Oh yeah, yeah,
100%
yeah, sure.
confident.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. So there's really not much else to do. I think that having us go through the exhaustive documentation for Emoji Blast on the stream probably would not be very entertaining or informative for most. But I would like to just quickly try to see if we can get the existing demos in some way onto the page because I think that
Hmm.
would be a really fun exploration. Does that
Interesting.
sound reasonable to you?
Yes. Sure. I think it's also going to be the trickier, just because of the we'll have to like I don't know how much we'll have to adapt them for the layout. Um,
Hmm.
so that'll be interesting, but you can definitely try one and see what happens.
Sweet. So I'm actually gonna. The code's a little old, and I remember now that we didn't do too much do like to optimize it, but basically all the demos are stored in each of an individual file, one each that exports name, a blurb, a code snippet, which is the code you see there,
Hmm.
and then a function. We didn't function to stringify or function to string because there are small differences.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oop,
yeah.
I think
I've
that was
also
on
seen
low
people run
battery.
into problems because like um, when you, I think someone else was trying to have like a similar setup. So they had like yeah, like export some metadata and then like a function. They were like, hey, I want to just like use the function, but I can't remember exactly what happens. But like some of that stuff goes through like a bundling step. And so they were ending up with like this bundled, like minified code when they try to like print that out. And I was like, yeah, just yeah, keep it to a string if you can. Uh, maybe just eval the string if you really need to keep them the same. I don't know.
Yeah, you. I think you'd end up needing to have to prettier the string effectively, and then run your lint rules to get back the formatting, and also that doesn't even account for renames and minifying and other
Yeah, yeah,
things.
yeah.
So yeah, this is
Okay,
fine.
cool. So these are all like this. They look the same. Like each file just the same like four exports.
Yes, and I'm actually going to switch to a different one so I can. There we go. So the way it works is in the sidebar we import them as a namespace import. We have an array of examples and they're in two categories,
All
and
right, you
then we map
categorize them
them
like that.
into
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm wondering
Okay,
if
we
I
can
can just
probably do something pretty similar, I would guess. I mean, I guess two options here. So that's a React component, the sidebar.tsx, I guess. We've got two options. It's like one would be, hey, we're gonna actually like try and keep that component, and we'll like add React and do all of that, um, which is fine. Uh, if you are feeling like, hey, part of the reason of doing this is I don't really need React because like React is not used in the emoji blast thing, and I'm fine without it. We could just decide to use directly the those example exports, and we'll rebuild the container ourselves. Like that could be another option.
I kind of like that. I mean, I personally, when I do front end, I tend to jump to React because I really like React. My
Sure,
personal site's in Solid because I wanted to explore, and I have yet to really fully mentally switch over to the Solid model of signals. But yeah, well, I think one of the beauties of Astro is that although you can, as you said, use React, you can, as you said, also just stick with JavaScript and HTML.
hmm
Like you don't need to add in a full library. So I say, just for
totally.
the fun of it, let's do that. Let's recreate. You know.
Okay, cool. Right, like what's the best way to do this? Let's just start directly in an MDX file, and we'll see if we need to break out. I mean, probably eventually we want to break out to like a separate component, but um, like for prototyping, I'll often just start in the MDX and then like move over as I need to, or like when I hit something that MDX doesn't support because the MDX. Oh wait, now MDX is kind of a pain because yeah, like every time you declare a variable, you have to export it and stuff. It's kind of annoying. Yeah, maybe that's not done. Maybe we'll start with a .astro component and we'll do the work in there. We'll have a nicer time probably. All right,
Okay.
so let's create a. I mean, it doesn't really matter. Like we don't have opinions on where you put your components really. You could even put them in your content folder if you want, or we could have like a source components folder where you put components. Totally up to you. So I don't know if
Hmm.
you have like personal preferences of how to organize code and stuff, but um,
I like
I guess yeah,
components.
creative.
I like
Cool.
having, the root level things in one, like the pages in one, and then the even if it's only
Yeah,
used in one page, the individual components treated as such.
yeah.
That's my personal
And
thing.
if you want, like one thing we could do is set up like a TypeScript alias, so that then like you don't have to do relative
Mhm.
paths every time for imports. But yeah, I don't know.
Oh
I'm
yeah,
sure you know how to do that. But
that I know that I've done it before. Is it? I can't remember the
well,
syntax. Is it?
mm, I'll cross grab.
Do I
I
need
definitely
a
don't remember the syntax, but
base
I'll.
URL?
Uh, it looks
The
like this in the.
needs to be an array. By the way, there's a question in the chat that I want to quickly get to. Very how much JavaScript is shipped with emoji-blast?
Mm,
Very little. If you
good
look at
question.
the actual, just like the real quick getting started one, the emoji-blast is now, which is both emoji-blast and just like a little hook to start things. This is it.
Yeah, it's tiny,
Very little.
and I
Uh,
bet once that's gzipped, it's going to be pretty small.
yeah, and then actually slightly more to create global variables. Um, so I'm very pleased to say that a non-trivial percentage of this data is actually the emojis post gzip because everything else gzip's much better. That makes me chuckle for some reason.
For sure. I wonder if there's a way,
But
because
okay,
you only support a certain like subset of emojis. So I guess like yeah, otherwise there could be a way to like generate that or something. But anyway, well, that's a complete sidebar.
yeah.
I just
Don't even get me started on emoji semantics. It's a whole thing. Yes, it's an
yeah,
allow
yeah.
list. Okay, did I get it right?
Looks like it from the docs, I think. Yeah. I think
Oh, I
yeah, the Astro
forgot.
docs shows an at, but I prefer like tilde like that as well. So um,
I actually
um
think that ad is problematic, by the way,
yeah,
because at gives a confusion with org with name scoped whatever packages,
yeah,
right? Like I
packages,
actually think that that's
100%.
a bad practice.
Yeah, I agree. I know it's the Astro docs, but
Great.
um,
I'm sure there's a reason it's the way it is, but that's my thing.
I think it may just be that it's old and like whenever that page was written, like 2 years ago or something, the person who wrote it happened to just use that example. But yeah, we use tilde in the docs repo anyway for Astro, so we're not even doing that in our own repo.
I'll find an issue or discussion or something. Okay, cool. Yeah, I'd love to know. Great. So I've got. Oh, I don't need that anymore. So I've got the tsconfig path set up. I've got a components folder.
hmm
Demo Astro just arbitrarily.
Yeah, sure. And we can start like super simple, yeah, like hello world. Let's not even get into important stuff yet, and just like drop that in an MDX file in your docs. The
Cool.
easiest probably is like the index page because it's already MDX, but um, we can add a new one or like do whatever you want.
All right, just opening these up side by side now.
Nice.
I would like my demo to be auto imported for me? Do I let me
I don't
reload
know.
window. Actually, I know.
Do you have the MDX language tools? But I'm not sure they support that. They're actively being worked on, but yeah, I think it's a tough challenge. Like that mix of like the Markdown AST plus TypeScript support is a
Mhm.
fun challenge, let's say. But yeah, so I know they're working on it, but I don't think they're there yet. Yeah, so you get some stuff, but yeah, no auto import. And I think they're also I know that they've been working with Erica to better support Astro components. I think if you were importing like TSX, it's already slightly better experience than Astro.
Cool. So I'm gonna try this out. See if there's okay. So there's a hello world from the direct import, and if I do the tilde and two of them just to make sure it's up. Nice, we got it.
Yep.
Yay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. So now we've got our component, which is the demo .astro file, and it's being rendered on a page, and we can start doing fun stuff in the demo. So maybe the easiest thing to start. Have you written an Astro component before?
Yes.
Okay.
I've tried to use them as much as possible on my personal site. I think I did a majority solid components because of random interactivity things, but I
Right.
have done it. It is possible.
Okay. So you know there's like the front matter up top, which we're going to have to create to import some dependencies, like packages and stuff.
Hmm.
And maybe we'll just import like one of those examples. Um,
Hmm. Oh yeah, the examples aren't actually. Huh. Oh right. Prettier. Let's.
uh,
Why is it not allowing me? I'm pressing the format document.
you might need the prettier plugin for Astro files. I
Do
don't
I
know if you
not?
want to set
Oh,
up
I don't
that on
have that in
stream,
my
but
Prettier RC.
uh,
Is it just Prettier plugin Astro?
I do not remember. It's like pretty is like one of those things you set up once. Prettier plugin Astro, yes. And reading our docs, it says you install it, and it looks like it might just work. I had a feeling you had to also add it to your config, but I guess we can try. Uh,
I would hope you have to add it to your config. I really don't like tools implicitly pulling in from node modules. All right.
mm, Taking a look
So
at
let's try. I'm
Starlight's
going to
own
add some
prettier.
spaces here.
Yeah. In
All
our
right.
prettier RC in the Starlight repo, we have like the plugins array and it includes prettier plugin Astro. So probably need to do that.
Nice. And I need to ignore my .next packages star.next folder so that format right takes the normal extremely small amount of time. But
Cool.
yeah, it formatted nice. Cool.
Nice.
Great. Okay. So what if I just do emoji-blast? Oh, and I need to add this as a dependency. I'll do that. Not just Konami emoji-blast, but also emoji-blast. PM. I love this. This project, I set up this repo like within the last few months, and I already have 3 deprecated subdependencies. This is great.
Oh.
Come on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'll say. Sorry, I wasn't totally awake. Um, so
Oh,
when you're using a script tag, you import into the script tag directly. Like you don't need to have it up top. So move that down, basically. Yeah.
that makes
I don't know
sense.
why it doesn't
Because
find the
I'm
types.
the script is what's importing, not the backing generator for the page.
Right. Like you have these two things in Astro. Like the top part is importing stuff into like server land. So like if you're running stuff on the server, you might still import stuff there. Like if I'm importing an Astro component and rendering it, I do that up top. If I'm importing a Rect component and rendering it, same thing. If uh, if I import some metadata from somewhere or whatever, yeah. So
Awesome.
um, what I was thinking was that we can actually import. Ooh, actually, it's gonna be interesting for your example. So I was thinking like the examples that you have, like those TypeScript files, not the TSX ones. We can probably just
Mhm.
import those and use them still. Um,
I can just copy and
so
paste the examples um,
the folder
because
over, yeah,
yeah, there we go.
perfect. If
Okay,
you want to try
so if
importing
I
one of them, I
do
don't think it matters which. Just to start off with, and we can like abstract to like a general way.
sure,
This one, let's import it up top to start with. Ah, there's the
basic.
categories. Okay. Okay.
Okay,
Because then we can
so
start to
got
like
that
build a
going.
component. We can start to build a component from your metadata there. So you can use like I don't know, like maybe put the inverse gravity dot name into the um, yeah, into the H1. Exactly. Yo, your
Nice.
type completion's
Do a little
working.
code
Nice.
snippet here. All
Hmm.
right. Code snippet. So it also export. Oh yeah, beautiful. Um,
Okay.
it also exports an actual function.
Yes,
Hmm.
we're gonna have to figure that out in a second. But so first, to make the code look nicer, we actually in Starlight we export a code component. So if you do
Of course you
import
do.
import Curly's code, it's a named export. There you go. I guess no, not those ones. Why doesn't it suggest the Starlight one? I don't know.
Someone ping Erica for the chat. I'm guessing that's a fun thing for me to say on here. I'm sorry if that was rude.
um, okay, it's not telling me for some reason. It's not auto suggesting the import. I can tell you it. So it's from at. Oh, you can copy paste it from the components page.
No, I'm trying to race you. I
Okay, I'll just tell you. I'll
you're
just tell you it.
I don't.
Okay,
Please.
import code from at astrojs starlight slash components.
Oh,
There you go. Cool. So this is basically we have this package in the Astro ecosystem. Actually, it's not just the Astro ecosystem; it works in other projects as well. But it came out of the Astro ecosystem called expressive code. Um,
mm,
exactly. So you have this code component, and there's an error in the. Uh, oh yeah. Okay. Perfect. So you can see that's formatted it more like a code block, like you actually wanted. We have a copy button if when you hover over it. Um, and you can now add a language to that. Like if you add a lang attribute to the code component, you can
beautiful.
say this is JavaScript, like or JS. I think both work. Yeah, yeah. So now you get syntax
Oh,
highlighting, and if you needed, there's
I
like a
love
whole bunch
this.
of other features. You can like highlight specific lines, all kinds of stuff. But I think that's probably good enough for where you wanted to go. Kind of comparable to what you had before. All right. Okay, so you got title code. I think there's a blurb in there as well.
Yes, good call. Nice.
Perfect. Okay.
Nice.
Yeah, so that's like the basic thing. But now you need like a play button, I guess. What the original other one has? It has like a button that triggers the yeah,
Try,
like a
yeah.
try it button. Okay, so that's gonna be the bit that I'm thinking about how we're gonna do, because yeah, now we have this like split between all of that stuff, like we've just rendered on the page. That's all happening on the server, right? Like at build time, we render out this static HTML. Like none of that metadata, which currently in your next site, I think probably you're like shipping a bundle of JavaScript, which includes that title, includes that blurb, includes the raw code string, just to like render those on the client. Um, Whereas with Astro, like those are just like all that import up top and like the way it's being placed on the page is that's happening at build time and thrown away. Like never need that data. But
Yeah.
the one bit we do want is for that function to run. Um, and as you saw before, when we did just like the plain emoji blast, we did that by importing in a script. So I'm just thinking about what the nicest way to do this is. Um, One option is trying to think. Like we could just continue to use our server side import and like manually create a script from that. I don't know if
Ooh.
that's. Let's try that. But it could be a little weird. I'm trying to think what the nicest way to feed this through is. Uh, yeah, with like a set
I'm just
HTML exactly. I haven't actually don't know if I've ever tried that, so I guess we'll see what happens. Code snippet. Oh no, you want the what was it called? It's like emoji.
I'm gonna open these side by side.
But don't you have the actual function declaration lower down there? The explosion function?
Yeah, I guess in this case, it's
Oh,
the
yes, but
same.
you wanna sorry, yeah, you wanna run the actual you want a string to that's another argument for not doing it
Yeah.
this way, though. Okay, let's not do it this way. Let's not this is bad. I think this is bad.
Sure.
Um,
Actually,
uh,
I kind of just want to see what
okay,
happens,
yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
sure. I understand
I,
that. I'll cover my eyes. Um,
all right. Let's
so I guess you need to
see.
actually call the
Emoji
function,
blast.
though, somewhere.
Code
Uh,
snippet is a string. And
yeah, should
then
be fine.
set HTML as code snippet. I'm importing emoji blast. What's the
Oh, but you're okay, yeah, makes sense though because you're importing it with an npm package specifier, but that's not being bundled. That's just being shipped raw
yeah.
to the client, and so like it would have to be a URL for ESM in the browser to import something, you know. So yeah, there's many problems with this approach. So I think we probably don't want to do this. I think let's do something else
I,
instead. Let's. Oh
I know
wow, I
that
think that
I'm agreeing with everything you're saying, but I think it's hilarious to to try this out.
Yeah, but even that won't work because your like website server doesn't have that file on, right? You need to make sure that that JS file is shipped to your site server. So we'd have to like put it in a public directory or like bundle it up. You know, like
Mm,
the version of Emoji Blast that's getting included in your site build is like one that gets bundled and stuff. So um,
horrifying. Yeah. We're
okay, you
done.
got it to work.
I'm
You got
done
it to work,
pushing.
but no, I was gonna say I think we can switch to importing your. I'm very curious if anyone in the chat like has a better idea than this, but I think uncomment the script we had before, um, and then we can import the same module that we imported up top, but now let's import it in the script. So like the import, ooh, that one, yeah. And I guess maybe we just import the named. The only thing we need here is the explosion function. So like maybe just import the named explosion function without the star, because then should be bundled. I think you know there should be tree shaking here, so like we won't import all that metadata. We don't need it. Um,
Makes sense. So if I
do
call it, it should work.
we? Yeah, it should work. I think.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, worked.
So Astro
Um,
is smart enough to create a script tag that does in fact, like as you were saying, bundle and use the stuff from my source code.
Yeah, if you have a script tag like that, you can write TypeScript in there, and it just compiles it away. Um, if you have multiple script tags, you know they can get bundled together intelligently, like you know the stuff like that. Like let's say you have 5 components, each has a
Oh,
script tag in, and 3 of them always get used together. You know, smart enough to like mostly powered by Vite, honestly, but like you know that gets bundled together, so you get um, small number of downloads and good compression opportunities and
cool.
stuff. So um,
Nice. I'm trying to figure out now where the heck oops. Where did that just go? Console log, Chris, Josh, test. Like where does that script go? Where's the
yeah,
script?
well, it's always a little more confusing in dev because one of the like superpowers of Vite, which Astra's built on, is like nothing gets bundled in dev. Like everything is just kind of raw node modules practically. Like you know, there's a little bit of work that happens to make sure they all work in the browser, but the aim is like be
Mhm.
fast, do as little work as possible, and then at build time, all the bundling happens. Um,
Okay.
yeah.
Cool. So wait,
Uh,
we've hey Emma, we've nice to see you here. We've done everything that I need technically. You've completely unblocked me. We have a working demo site. If I type the emoji code up, down, down, left, right, BA in the terminal, it works. Oh, sorry, in the
yep.
keyboard. And now you've made it so I can import my scripts onto the page. This is fantastic.
Awesome. It depends. You tell me what you want to do, but if like the difficult part is this, I would be happy to work with you on getting this component abstracted like a level higher, so that um, instead of having to import each one of those modules like one by one or something, like we can take a prop for the like for the example name or something. Um, I don't know. Maybe
Mhm.
depends how you want to structure it, or just like similar to your other file which you had before, where you have like an array and you import them all and use that array directly in here. I guess you could decide.
I like the first of those two strategies. I'm a big
Yeah.
fan of componentizing. So I say yeah, let's make up props with like I don't know. For now we can just call it name string, blurb, string, snippet, string. and then
Oh, no, no, no. I was
characters.
actually suggesting even simpler than this. Um,
Ooh.
where you like this component would just take the name of one of your example files. Like it would take in this case, I guess like basic slash inverse gravity, and then do everything else for you.
Oh. I would love to see this type safe if that's possible to see how this would work. How
Yeah, sounds possible.
okay, so we'd
Um, I
okay,
think.
that's fascinating.
Wait. Type safe, as in even the
Imports.
name is type safe. How easy is that? That might not be so easy because we'd need to know the names of the files, and without generating types, I'm not sure how we would do that. Um, yeah,
So like
I
this, but like ooh,
yeah, it
that's
ends up looking a
tough.
little like this. We're going to use some. Um, it'll look a little different from this, but I'll we'll get there. So if you don't mind that this name is not type safe, we'll just take a string and maybe throw a nice error if you've mistyped or something. Um, we're gonna do instead of inverse gravity. Yeah, okay, we'll keep that for now so the example doesn't break. But create a new variable called, let's say, examples plural const examples equals await. Oh no, I don't think you even have to wait. So just no, just equals import dot meta, yeah, dot glob.
Oh, I forgot this exists in Astroland.
Yeah, and then you can do
Just
examples.
guessing.
Yeah, that should be fine. You could specify like .ts on the end of there if you wanted to, like if there were other files in there you want to exclude. Doesn't really matter. Um,
Sure.
okay, so if you wanted to just like console log that, that also is like a sanity check that we have imported the right thing. Um, I think your dynamic import is going to be totally broken. Um,
I have
the
completely confused and irritated
yeah.
VTS.
Uh, and then yeah, and the template is but the template's broken for now. Uh, but you can see, okay, there
Nice.
you go. So basically, what
All
the
right.
import meta glob does, it's like, hey, I want to import everything in this directory, and or like, yeah, all the TypeScript files. You can also use it like, hey, give me all the JPEGs in this directory, whatever. You know, you can refine it. It's a glob, um, and you get back an object which is keyed by the name. So you see like examples basics always blue, etc. And you get
Mhm.
for each entry, you get a function, which is basically like a module loader. So you get like a dynamic import function for each one. So um,
Sure.
there's also like a way to load them all up front, but I don't think we want that in this case. So and Vite just kind of takes care of that, bundling that, making sure it works everywhere. Um, so now we know we're getting an import source in our props, right? Like you're going to be passing an import source to this component. Maybe we want to already do that in the MDX file. Do you want to like pass in one of the file names?
Sorry, I
If you
might have lost you there. What am I passing for import source?
So I think this component looks okay, but we want to where we're using demo in the index.mdx, we need to pass import source, right?
W- Um, yes. Okay. Okay. I'm actually now. This will help me. I don't know if we're going to change it later, but this calling it demos plural will help me conceptualize. So I'm going to call it that. Ooh, it didn't rename. And
Yeah, I
then
think again TypeScript.
import, which is
No, you're gonna give
now.
it just the
This is
file name. So like say put like basic slash inverse gravity .ts or whatever.
for the index import.
Yeah,
All right, basic. What's the path to that? Source examples basic. Basic inverse gravity. Like that?
I would even leave out the relative path there because this is just a string, right? Like there's no magic happening here. You're just passing a string that we've decided is going to identify one of the examples.
Right.
You could use the
Okay.
name of the example instead, and we'd like map it that way somehow. But this is going to be the easier way to just like give it a path. But because we're going to resolve
Got it.
that against the object we have, it doesn't matter that doesn't really matter what format it has. But the easiest is going to be just that, I think. Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah,
So this is
and we
still a
could
single demo, and now we're passing it in.
yes,
Got it.
exactly.
Okay.
So now, okay, we have our examples loaded in that import meta glob, the next one. Yeah. And now from this object, we want to find the example that matches the name we passed. So it's just going to be like example equals examples, exactly. And I guess we need, yeah, we need like the relative, the first part of that, like the dot slash example slash, and then the path we passed.
Got it. Cool. So, oh, I have it up here. So it's this with, as you were saying. Okay. All right. Sorry. I think I lost you for a little bit, but now I'm back and I feel good about this. So if
Okay,
I save, we get it. There's the example.
perfect.
This is, by the way, this is such a different way of thinking that I have a hard time jumping back into it intuitively. For me,
Hmm.
I'm looking at this component going, why the hell would the individual component glob everything there and then find the right one? But that makes total sense in Astroland because this is just a server. Like, who cares if it globs a little extra?
Right. Yeah. And it means we have that. I mean, and if you think about it, like eventually on the Next.js version, you were globbing everything also. Like you were importing all of those files and they were all going into a big bundle and getting shipped. So we're kind of doing the
Yeah.
same thing. It's just we're narrowing down what we end up shipping. So perfect. I think it's not dynamic yet because we are not actually using the import source prop that we've passed to this component. We just you just hard coded the
Oh,
string. Um,
sorry, you're totally right.
so yeah. Perfect.
There we
Yes.
go. Still
And we should still
works.
have our
So
example.
now I can.
And now if you uncomment stuff, it should work. Oh no, sorry. Okay, we missed a step. Yes, my fault.
Oh,
So the example is yes, exactly. If you await that, and you need to call it at the end there, yeah. Uh, oh
so
yeah, I guess
example
so.
is a
That's the
record of
you're
string
you're
two.
asserting that it's there. Um,
Oh, you know what it is? I lied earlier when I said I wanted the strictest of things. I actually don't want the strictest of things because I really, really hate the one specific. Oh, what is it called? No unchecked index access. It's the most annoying goddamn option. I really hate it. But I,
if you just
to be fair,
if you
like
just
there are
switch to
cases where
strict
it's
instead of
needed, but
strictest, that might be enough. Like if you yeah, we have
I
a
like the I
okay,
like
you
the
like the
rest
rest of
of
it.
it.
Okay, fine. Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
wait, no,
yeah.
I don't. I don't like no one use locals. This is what I would use a linter. You know what? You're right. Strict.
Yeah.
There we go. All right. Great.
All right.
Oh,
So we've loaded it. Yeah. Okay. So that is one drawback I hadn't really considered is that import metaglob doesn't try and do any like type checking for you. It's just like, hey, I'm randomly loading modules from a folder. They might be images. I don't know what they are. Type unknown. You can pass in an interface to like glob is a generic function, so you can pass in like the angle brackets and then pass in an interface. So like, hey, I know the modules I'm loading are this shape. Um, Oh, good
mhm.
way to do that. I would not have thought of that.
And it doesn't work. But you know what?
Uh,
Oh, there we go.
yeah, you go.
There you go.
And
See,
yeah,
what I would
okay, perfect.
love to be able to do is this, but there's no built-in support in TypeScript for that. So now I'm like doing this weird thing where like I'm kind of, I gotta say, um, if I were looking at this from like a generic agnostic TypeScript perspective, what I would do is I would have like I'm just gonna demo inject. I would have the demo take in the importer or something like this that returns the shape we want,
Hmm.
which is it doesn't matter. I'm just going to type this as record string, or no, I'll type it as the type of way to do. So like what I would do here is I would do like demo inject, and then I would do importer equals I don't know something like that. Does that make sense and cause feelings in you?
That makes total sense. I don't. Oh, okay, well, I won't look at the errors. I'm trying to think if that works. I think
What did I do wrong?
it might be an MDX issue with like the dynamic import there. I don't know if MDX supports dynamic imports. You might have to like move the import
Right.
up top and then like pass it in. Um,
Or
I
even
have
better.
like I have no problems with that as like a conceptual. Um, oh right, it's just a path thing. I think it says cannot find module.
Yeah. So ah, I do hate how on live streams I always feel like I'm just kind of plopping array for 10 minutes to try to get to the working thing. Okay. Can I find module basic? Blah blah blah. Examples.
Yeah. Oh, you need the probably you want to go
Okay,
from the tilde, right? You can use the alias to get there quickly.
you're right.
Doesn't work.
It's
No
source
impulse.
components examples. Components
Okay.
examples.
Nice.
And
Okay.
I don't
Yeah.
need the TS. There we go.
That'll work. I don't have anything against this. I think my bias is that a lot of the time I'm building for, um, let's say, technical writers is like a key audience, right? If you're building Starlight, a lot of people using it are not necessarily always devs. Like you're also just people who are like you're technical, but your main focus is like writing and explaining code, and so you're not
Yeah.
spending days like. So the last thing you want as a component user is to like, okay, I have to import something and then like pass a module or like a dynamic import. So my bias is always like, I'm going to make a component that takes a string prop and is like, hey, you can pass any of these strings and it'll work. So I definitely have that like my instinct is not so much like, oh, let's make this as the perfect TypeScript code, as like, how do I make the public like documentation author API as friendly as possible.
Yeah.
And those things are not always the same. So I have no problems whatsoever with that approach. I think it'll work just well, maybe even better in terms of your like thinking is like, hey, I don't want to have to like if you do this way, I don't have to think about import meta glob and all of those kinds of things. Um,
Yeah.
although
No, I think
uh,
you make very good points. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, although I think the way I was thinking about doing like the next step, which is the how we handle the dynamic part, like we have to still have to run that function, right? Um, I'm not 100% sure how to do it with your inject version, so let's stick to the path that we were on. Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, I don't really have any
I
philosophical problems with it.
I think philosophically, I actually have a problem with the thing I made because A, it's a pain in the butt, and B, at the end of the day, it's type safe in that it will throw an error very quickly, like before the site is able to run if we get something wrong. So I do like after trying out my way, I don't like my way. The string way is I quite like. I quite like
Right,
this.
and, like, if you
And
wanted to improve it, you could be like, instead of just awaiting directly the examples, you could, like, get the examples loader. If it's undefined, throw a friendly error saying like, "Hey, I couldn't find the example for code snippet blah. Did you mean one of this list or something?" There's ways to make that a little nicer. But like you say, as soon as you call that, and you've mistyped, you'll get an error. It'll say, "Hey, example doesn't
yeah.
exist." So it adds up to the same thing. Cool. So we've got our example. We've loaded it. We're not yet rendering the blurb and the code example yet. I think those are still commented
Oh, right,
out.
right.
Um,
By the way, to the chat, hey Alien, I hope you're enjoying the airport. Thanks for introducing Chris and me.
hey,
Starlight has to be Sarah proof is an interesting phrase. Well, good, funny.
it's important.
But yeah,
It's important and not a simple task. For the record, lots of people maybe don't know Sarah, but Sarah is the docs lead at Astro, and I think one of the people with the most brilliant experience at making stuff do what she wants. Doesn't matter how. So like you like I need a thing to do this. I will I'll MacGyver it. I'll like hack it. I'll do whatever I need. Um, and so yeah, like me making sure that Starlight is resistant to that very productive instinct is part of my job.
love it. Yeah. By the way,
um,
Alien just said something deeply hurtful, and oh my god, I just played the YouTube too loud. Deeply hurtful and offensive to me in the chat when it doesn't have the proper context. The context is Chris, this might bring you some pain. I made my site in Astro. Uh, Very MVP before I actually learned how Astro and Solid are meant to work. So I had Ilian and a couple of folks from the Solid land, Daniel J. Afonso and Attila Facina on my stream. And it was a long stream of them just brutally destroying my work in all the
oh
ways I asked them
no.
to. It was awesome. Yeah, two and a half hours almost of them pointing out exactly where I went wrong and everything I did horribly wrong. It was painful, but really, really good for me.
Well, maybe Astro and Solid should be more easy to understand, and then you wouldn't have gone wrong.
Well, I mean, I didn't really, I wouldn't say I fully read the documentation or embraced best practices or really tried to think in the mental model of either Astro or Solid. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, which are different. I mean, I think anyone who's coming from like a maybe a more React background. I mean, sorry, I don't know if that's your background. I know you mentioned you use React, but like I think
Yeah.
that it can be like a jump. I have seen a few people who've migrated to Starlight from Docusaurus where it takes a moment for it to click that like hey, um, in DocuStorage, I was in a client-side app, right? Like, everything was on the client. If I wanted to, like, dynamically change UI in terms of, like, for user, I could just override a component and make it, happen on the client and say, like, "No, once we get to the client, Starlight is just HTML. You like, those components are not available in the same way anymore," which is a restriction, right? Like, if you really need that dynamic stuff. Um, but but it has all those benefits of, like, okay, you get to, like, ship so much less JavaScript, pages load really quickly. If you're especially on
Yeah.
lower powered devices, like someone's browsing on their phone, or loading on, like someone's on the subway, they've just heard about your project, they're on their commute to work and they're reading about it. It feels snappy and stuff. So, um, yeah, definitely takes like a mindset change. Cool. So, like, we have a component. It takes a prop. It renders the example for that prop. Um, the last part is going to be, how do we run this function? And I'm just going to admit, I've never done this before, but I think we can do a very, very similar approach. I think we can use import metaglob in our script tag. So if you just copy paste that line, not the second line yet. Like, let's do just the examples. Um, oh, and the example data interface is not there because it's in the, yeah. Scripts are like a different context, right? Like, so in terms of types, yeah, that's the quick way. We won't bother like exporting it from a types.ts or whatever. Yeah. Okay, cool. So we have that. Now the question is like, okay, so we've got an example, and each time we render that component, we want to like hook up the try button. Let's create a button for that. Like, so you had, I think, try it, like a, yeah. Nice.
Put that above the
Um,
snippet.
and seeing as we're doing like, this is very much the Chris way of doing things, because you said you wanted to try it, like no React, nothing. So we're gonna build a web component, because that's all Starlight is. It's all custom elements. If you've never done it before, do not worry.
Oh
It's
boy.
not as scary as it sounds, especially with Astro. It makes custom elements and web components uh, really quite easy to build, because I think a lot of what people have in their heads is what is scary about a web component is like shadow DOM and like, oh my god, I've got to like create DOM nodes, like document create element, append,
Yeah.
blah blah blah. Yeah, horrible. Like, not fun to work with. But because Astro, at least for like relatively simple UI where you're not, yeah, yeah, well, at least when you're not having to build like complex UI on the fly, like that's the one I would reach for a React or something. But if you kind of have like a static UI and you just need some interaction, web components are really nice because you don't have to create any DOM. We're not gonna have to create any like buttons or anything live in JavaScript. That's already built. Like, we're gonna render them to the page. So I'm gonna suggest we wrap, like, all of the content you have so far in that component in a custom element. So we can call it whatever. We can call it like, emoji-blast demo or something like that. Um, have you ever? Maybe I have to type in chat because I don't know if you've ever even done this. Emoji
It's been
blast.
multiple years since I've played with uh, any.
Yes. So I'm gonna just wrap
That's
that.
okay.
So that's how a custom element works, right? We've literally created a custom HTML element, just like an H1 or P. Right now, because we've done nothing, the browser sees that and is like, I have no idea what that is. It's a div. Like, the browser fallback behavior as because browsers are so super resilient to even like the worst HTML. They're like, yeah, I can render whatever. So right now it's like, no idea, you're just a div. Um, and so it doesn't really do anything. It's a div. Didn't change anything. Um, but what's really cool is now, we have this hook into that component. So now jump down to the script and we'll write some JavaScript to like enhance that HTML and make the try it button work. Let's Before you do that, we'll do the HTML first. Okay, let's add a attribute to your element, emoji blast demo. Let's call it, I don't know, data hyphen import source, and then pass it. Yeah, exactly. So what we're doing here is we're passing that
Okay.
string that we're passing into the component already. We're like just passing it through to our custom component. So, now we should be ready, like with our HTML, to jump down to the script and create the enhancing JavaScript part.
Okay. Seems reasonable so far.
And
By the way, you were spot on with your interpretation of my reaction to web components. I was afraid of things like Shadow DOM and a lot of complexity with DOM manipulations. So
Yeah, I mean, for
nice.
years, that was, like, what a web
I would
component
have felt
was,
a
right?
lot worse without that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's totally normal. I think, like, no one and I'd never written a web component, I don't think, before working on Astro sites and realizing, like, "Wait, this is actually a really good model for component-based design," especially for, like, more especially for, like, let's say, simpler components. Like this, we just have a button. Like, it just needs an event listener, but maybe I have 3 of them on the page, so, like, how do I handle that? Like, I have 3 instances. Maybe I need to pass some data. We have, like, that situation here, right? We need to pass a little bit of data from the server to the client and then use it. So that's what we're gonna do. So you're gonna have to create a class.
Okay.
That's web components are classes. Um, you can
And
call
now
it
I'm back in the
yeah,
feelings. Oops.
back in the feelings. Don't worry, I'm here with you. So a class, you can call this whatever. You can call it emoji-blast demo, and you're gonna say it extends HTML element.
Sorry, my headphone. Ugh, I keep forgetting to charge these. Give me one moment.
No problem.
Someone let me know if there's an echo through my mic. I'm now just playing through the computer, but okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
Modular demo extends. Well,
HTML element.
nope, it's good.
Exactly.
Awesome. Thanks, sir. Okay,
Yeah.
great.
Um, so this basically says like, hey, I'm gonna create this thing that behaves like an HTML element, inherits a bunch of stuff that we don't really care about. And now we can start to use. And so the way a custom element works is like the actually before you write anything else, jump outside of the class, and then you can type custom element below it. I think because we're gonna have to we're gonna reference the class. Um, Custom elements dot define. I think it's lowercase. Yeah, exactly. Custom elements dot define, and now we're going to pass the name that we gave the tag. Yes, exactly. You've seen this before, and then the class name. And so basically, we're telling the browser, hey, here's some JavaScript. Every time you find one of these elements on the page, so this emoji blast demo, um, run this code. Right now, there's no code in there, but
Okay.
like we've kind of wired it up. And so now let's create a constructor. So standard, just constructor, no prop, doesn't take any props or anything. We'll call super in there like a like you do in classes. Um, okay, cool. And now we're in a scope where things get really nice because um, yay, we got it.
Yay.
Yes. Um, One of the superpowers of the of custom elements is you have this right in the class. You have this like the JavaScript this keyword, um, and it automatically gives you a reference to the current instance on the page of that HTML element. So like if you've ever done like
Mm,
document query selector, right? Like you can grab an element and it basically gives you that without having to do that. So if you do this dot query selector, like you're doing, you're able to grab exactly what is inside. It's like entirely scoped to that instance. So you don't have to deal with like, oh my god, I've got 3 of these on the page. How do I like keep my logic separate?
yeah.
Like, no, you're just
Yeah.
dealing with your one little piece of the page at a time. So if you do like query selector button in here, it'll
That gets
that's your
just my
button. There's only
button.
one button and
Yeah.
you're in this component. You don't have to worry. Like you don't need a class to grab it. You don't have to like check for multiple. You're just dealing with one at a time. Um,
Nice.
yeah,
Yay.
it works. And if you had 2 of these, both would work. It's fine. Um, Okay, so now the next thing we need is we want to grab that import source that we passed into data. And so this can just, you can get this from this dot dataset dot import source. Yeah, exactly. Camel case. No, no, that was right. That was right. Um, One of the weird but also nice things is that data attributes, the hyphenated names get automatically camel cased. Um, nice. So we can see that's being passed in. Um, oh, that's so nice, Elian.
I don't like that. I
Um,
really don't like that. I gotta admit, I any sort of name conversion to me feels like weird,
Yeah, I mean, I get it, right? It avoids you having to like jump to the square back brackets, string, like it's kind of ergonomically nice, but yeah, it's definitely a weird one. There was an early part of Astro that did something similar with CSS variables. You could like pass from JavaScript, and then we'd automatically like hyphenate them, and everyone was like, "No, don't stop! Like, just leave them how I offered them. It's really confusing." But it's a browser, whatever. They decided in like 2009 to do this or whatever, and that's the way it is. Um, cool. So now I think we should be we have, like if we assign the import source to or maybe we don't even have to assign it, but we can basically copy the logic from above where we grabbed from examples to get a specific example.
That makes sense. I'm gonna say const import source just to make it a little easier to copy pasta. Oh, eBay. I'm just gonna iffy it. Immediately invocated function expression.
Oh, right, we got no await. Um, yeah, it's fine. Let's just do it. There is a way, like you can tell Vite to kind of instead of giving you the like loader map, there's a way to tell Vite like, hey, uh, statically import everything. Like just import all of it. Give me it statically, like, and then you don't have to do the await. But yeah, this is good.
Oh,
Okay, so we should now have our module. Looks like we do have something there. Um, it
hey,
works.
look at that. Amazing.
Amazing. Oh man, I'm glad
Woo.
that worked because when you first described doing this task, I was like, "Oh man, this is not your average like simple docs task. We're not just gonna like have a pretty code example and like uh you know whatever. You can add some
Yeah.
pages, structure the sidebar. Or like, oh no, sure, we're gonna dynamically import tens of modules and run functions on the client as well as rendering stuff on the server. It's gonna be fun, but we've done it.
So let me ask you something. Um, how does this work where I have the script per component? If I were to render, let's say, a dozen demo.astro components, am I doing all this work a dozen times?
Not really. So like the script will be bundled. You just the nice thing about the script we've written is like that's all the script. Like we don't like that works. We run it once. The browser understands that like this class needs to be run each time it finds it. Obviously we have to add the event listener. So if you have like 20 of these on a page, we have to add each event listener. Like that's obviously going to be necessary because if I have to, each of those buttons has to work. But like it's bundled. You're not like you certainly aren't adding the script 20 times, right? You're like the script gets added once. Um, so yeah, it's just kind of
Got it.
Astro bundles that for you, and
Cool.
yeah, if you build the site, I guess we could look at what that looks like if that's interesting to you. But
That is interesting to me. Let's if I do basic, let's do another one. Everywhere, everything, everywhere, all at once is one of my favorite ones. Everything, everywhere, all at once. So yeah, I'm seeing that I get two logs of examples.
yeah.
Uh,
Wait, you get to? I think that's just because the page reload and you have the logs persisting. I don't think that was like if you refresh the page, I think you just get one. Oh no! What? Two logs of examples.
hello.
Oh no, you get one log of examples. You get
Oh yeah, there we go.
example singular twice because that's in the inside your custom element.
There it is.
Yeah.
My apologies.
No, no worries.
Awesome. Look at this. This is great. This works exactly how I would have wanted it to work, which is lovely.
Sweet. Yeah, looks amazing. I'm so glad we could do it, and I hope that your fear of the custom element is slightly diminished.
Slightly, yeah. Fear is definitely diminished. Disgust. See, my problem with custom elements is that it's just it's not the same mental model that I'm used to working in. Like what I'm used to working in is single source of truth, no matter what. Like through the types, through the JSX. So like
hmm
having to do a question mark when I query select a button. Well, that's because I'm not using the same source of truth for what's in the element as declaring the element. So like that's just it's not bad. It's just not how I like to do things.
Yeah, we've definitely as an Astro team have like we've considered whether like should Astro help you with custom elements more. Like in theory, right? If our language server, if it like knew a little bit more about custom elements, it could look at that and figure out like, oh well, I can tell in this template there's a button, and so I can tell you like this definitely exists. Or maybe there's like an Astro little helper that will like automatically give you references to different parts of your component. Um, but on the whole, the conclusion's always been like, are we really going to build something that's nicer to use than like actual UI frameworks? Probably not. Like that's like a whole
Yeah.
specialized thing. Um,
Yeah.
so probably I don't know if that's worth it. Like I agree. Like that feels scary. I think a lot of the time to people. In this case, it's a small component. We're at like 60 lines, but some of that's white space, and
Yeah.
um, it's probably safe to just say like the button is there. And if the button is not, like, well, okay, that's bad, but something else has gone wrong probably. So yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Again, like I always say like once you start to do like really complex interaction, custom elements can be done. Like if you go to the Starlight docs, we have a theme editor which is something I built entirely with custom elements. It's if you just search for it, it should show up. Uh, yeah, call it theme editor.
You did
Um,
this with custom elements? Oh, yeah.
yeah, it's all custom elements. It uses nanostores if you're familiar with nanostores, which is like a state library basically, a little, but like a very simple Svelte style thing where you have these little stores you can write to and get and subscribe to. So like the data all is persisted back to like a single source of truth, like you said, um, and then each of those little components is a single custom element that's like all interfacing with that source of truth. It's totally doable. This is relatively simple still in terms of like what this is not an app. This is a small interactive component, but it is multiple sliders, blah blah blah. This is already, I would say, at the limit of where you're like, yeah, you can do this. I did it because I don't want to add a framework just to add one little thing to a page. Um, and
Yeah.
I kind of like custom elements. I'm a weirdo, but um, but it definitely starts to get trickier once you have like multiple parts of a page interacting with state and stuff. You either have to be building something with a lot of other tooling that's helping you do those things, um, or yeah, reach for a UI framework that's going to help you.
I mean, that makes sense. I think it's fine to have these trade-offs. Like, we're so used to, especially me as like a former web platform team member, I'm so used to saying definitively this is how we're doing things because that's the problem we're solving, and this is the like when you're working at a framework level, you can't say that, you know? That's just
No,
even for like a relatively more targeted framework like Astro, that's just not how it works.
yeah, and especially for a docs site, like, I think it's fine, like, if you're a theme developer or something and you're like, "Hey, I built I don't know," I'm trying to think of a good example of, like, I don't know, "I built a e-commerce theme. It uses Solid, to, like, power all the interactions and stuff and, like, store your checkout state," and I don't know what. Um, that's a thing that you might do, right? Or it uses React because we have a bunch of good, solid React components we can build on. Um, with Starlight, I knew that like we have people documenting their own React component library or Svelte component library with Starlight, and it would be really weird if we were like, hey, you also have to have Vue or like whichever one I picked as part of the Starlight install. Like that, it kind of feels wrong. So for a site like this where you're kind of trying to
Yeah.
provide like the base boilerplate, I kind of feel like those functionalities should just be JavaScript, and often it's good. Like I think one of the things I've
Yeah.
seen is people provide components as React components so often, and it's fine as a default. But then people are like, "Oh, I need a JS version," so they like bundle that into like a precompiled. But then it's this precompiled thing with like React inside, which is
Yeah.
huge. I mean, it's not. It's 40 kilobytes or whatever, but gzipped. But still, like if you're like trying to like ship those agnostically, it becomes really kind of clunky. So yeah, for at least for a baseline for
Yeah.
us, we can provide that kind of clean, I think we have like 20 kilobytes of JS for like all of the site functionality, including search and stuff. Um, and and then you can bring your libraries you need, and like we're not getting in your way. We've not like there's not like a high, what's the word, like the baseline should be low so that everything you had, like the headroom, is all for you. Like we shouldn't be kind of taking up
Yeah.
bandwidth and performance, which you might want. Let other people bloat their sites. That's that's for them to do.
Yeah. Yeah, let other people bloat their sites. Chris,
Yeah.
yes, good quote, good quote. Cool. Well, no, I'm the A that Thank you. That's an excellent explanation. That makes a lot of sense to me. B, I'm totally satisfied with this stream. There we have some small to dos that I'll just do, like moving the interface to a file, but like basically this works and it's what we were looking for. We got the
Nice.
demos rendering from the page, imported, dynamically. Oh, I forgot that's the one that does that. It's performance. Like I'm not running ridiculous imports. As you said, I'm the one slowing down the page with this stupid effect here. Is there anything else you'd want to cover while we have each other?
Mm, I mean, I don't think so. So, like, yeah, this is a Starlight site. The things that you would probably like move on to doing. You mentioned like wanting to document each library, so you're going to probably create like a page. Um, you
Mhm.
can use, I don't know, like obviously search is built in. Like if that's a thing you care about, like it. One of the things that we
Oh
was really important for us. It's only in production builds because we need to like index your built HTML, but um, basically like a lot of the docs frameworks that I was researching, they force you to either like go like integrate with a third party service like Algolia, for example, which is a great service, but you need to make an account. You need to you need to maybe pay for that if you're not an open source customer who can get that for free. Um, and so it was really important for us to just be like, no, you just build your doc site out of the box, search works, you can find whatever you need. So that's a cool thing. Um, I'm guessing that's
yeah,
not going to be relevant to you, but like one of the things we're really proud of is the multilingual support. We support like really easy multilingual sites because obviously Astro Docs is I think in 14 languages. Starlight Docs is in like 17. We have an amazing community of people translating stuff. So yeah, it's really easy to set up a site
yeah.
if you have multiple languages to support. Um, Otherwise, I think just yeah, you got to go write your docs and have fun. And yeah, if you have questions, come find us in the Astro Discord, and there's a Starlight channel, and you can get help. Anyone else who's watching who might want to build something can get help. Um, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks. And just to show off, that's on the Astro site. If you're curious where the Discord is, there's a nice Discord button which opens in a new tab because it tends to open in Discord.application, right?
Also because it's built by a different team, the main website.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, we also have the link. Yeah, yeah, but we also have it on starlight.astro to build. There's one that opens in the same tab in case you're looking for one.
Ah, there it is.
Yeah.
Great, great. Thank you. Yes. Cool. Well, thanks, Chris. This has been wonderful. So just to recap, what happened was I had this old Next.js demo site. It's a perfectly good demo site for a single package for Emoji Blast. It was designed and initially implemented by a friend, Carly, who's awesome. It's in the footer. Her name's in the footer. We got a bunch of different demos that are like stored in .ts and source and bundled JavaScript files. By the way, I can't speak enough to how much these demos bring me so much joy. If anyone has any other demos they want to add, let me know. But I think my favorite one has a cow in it. It's a
Oh
reference to
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Nope movie. Like this thing's,
I definitely clicked through all of
yeah.
these when you
I think
sent
you
me the site.
mentioned
I was like, oh my god,
yeah. Ridiculous.
wild.
But no, so Emoji Blast used to be called Konami. Sorry, used to be called Emoji Explosion. I refactored it to be a mono repo at josh.org/emoji blast, and it's got integrations like Konami Emoji Blast, which is the up, up, down, down, left, right, BA, and then like for Astro and React. So now we're making a new website for it, which I have in pull request now. PR 406 on the Emoji Blast repo, which is going to have docs for all the things, all the different packages. And most relevantly to Chris, it is built with Astro Starlight because Astro Starlight is this awesome
Yeah.
docs site generator built on Astro, the site framework. And this was honestly a pleasure to set up. It was a real nice like one liner to get the initial site, and then we just added onto it using basic web technologies in Astro. So props to you all. That was a really good experience for me.
Yeah, wrote Josh's first custom element. First, I don't know, maybe not first.
Woo!
Best.
First one that's on GitHub, I think. First one
Oh,
that
there you
went
go.
anywhere. Yeah. Yeah.
Cool.
Cool. So Chris, since we're wrapping up, first of all, thank you for all this. This was an absolutely great time. I
No,
appreciate you spending what is now. Whenever I spoke off stream, I don't see this taking more than an hour. Thank you for spending 2 hours with me.
no problem.
Uh, is there anything you want people to do if they want to find you or anything you care about on the internet? Any places to find you?
If this is your first time seeing Starlight, go star the GitHub repo. That's helpful. Um, go build docs. I think like people are maybe sometimes don't want to, if you have an open source project, they're like, oh, docs, that's a pain. It doesn't have to be a pain. Like Josh showed, just like put a folder in your repo, put it on GitHub pages, put it on Netlify, put it on Vercel, wherever you want to like host your stuff. It's usually cheap or free, and yeah, Starlight makes it super easy to get started. So don't be afraid. I think everyone should write docs. It's so helpful. Like people get so much out of good docs. So um, yeah, and come share it. Come to, once you've done that, or even before, come to the Astro Discord. Come hang out and share your sites. We always love to see them.
Awesome. Well, thanks. That is an excellent thing to end up on. Because yes, the Starlight and Astro in general have a fantastic community. I highly recommend. They're super lovely people. They're always very welcoming. I will never stop being amazed when I go post something in a community Discord, and then one of the framework authors of the thing that Discord is for will like respond within an hour or a day. It's an incredible experience to go hang out with the Astro people. Definitely recommend.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
with that, I'm gonna say this is a good time to stop. But thanks also to the chat here, especially I want to shout out Lerner and Sarah and Elian and Heidi you and everyone else who was here. This was a fun chat. So thanks y'all for helping out, especially pointing out when I screwed up my OBS and got an echo. Okay, last thing in every stream is finding someone to raid. I almost
Oh
forgot to do
right, I
this.
forgot that's a
So
thing.
let's see. That's the thing, right? So
Yeah.
I just clicked the raid channel button in my stream manager. Wow, this used to be different. So I always do a search on TypeScript to see if anyone's oh boy. um hang on a second. Where's my what the hell? Man, they changed everything. Anyway, let's go find someone on Twitch who streams TypeScript stuff to see if we can raid them. I swear to God, every time I come, okay. Well, I'm here. This isn't a different language. This isn't a different language. Russian. First English stream. There we go. We're gonna go raid this person. Oh, anyone streaming about Starlight? That's a
If they
great.
are, I'm astonished.
Oh, there's a person. Make. Oh, they're painting. Never mind.
Yeah, all right.
Oh well.
Well,
Let's. Close enough. All right. And we're gonna start the raid. I show this off because when I first started streaming on Twitch, it always confused me that it took 10 seconds and I was awkwardly waiting. All right. Bye, everyone. This was fun. Cheers.
bye. Yeah, thanks for having me, Josh.
Cool. And hang on a second.